Hello, it's me, the Avatar Fanatic, and today I'll be talking about Zaheer's philosophy. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and let's get on with it. In this video, we will discuss what thoughts Zaheer had in his head to think the way he did, what actions Zaheer did and why, and overall, what Zaheer showed us as the show developed. Zaheer was always a guy who thought order was reached naturally and that governments are pretty much the enemy of the people. The enemy of everything. Hence, these four quotes that I'm about to get you here. The idea of having nations and governments is as foolish as keeping the human and the spirit realms separate. You've had to deal with a moronic president and a tyrannical queen, which was referring to the Earth Queen. Don't you think the world would be better off if leaders like them were eliminated? Another one. It wasn't too long ago that the Airbenders were nearly all wiped out, thanks to the Fire Lord's desire for world dominance. Ozai. True freedom can only be achieved when oppressive governments are torn down. The natural order is disorder. Do you know who once said new growth cannot exist without the first destruction of the old? And I want what you want, which he was saying to Korra, to restore balance in this world. So, basically Zaheer wants to restore balance by creating disorder, which is back to the natural order, in his words. Based on the last two quotes here, Zaheer is an anarchist, but his own type of one that doesn't fit the true definition of anarchism, so keep that in mind. I believe he's more of like, something like maybe an anarcho-primitivist, something like that. And he believes in natural order, which is disorder in his view. And the only way to reach that is true freedom. The only way to reach natural order is true freedom. And this is the reason that he took down the tyrannical Earth Queen. He later delivered a speech to the people of the Earth Nation, saying that people can find their own path and now had true freedom. Moving on from that, Zaheer was opposite to almost all airbenders. He didn't retreat while fighting, and he didn't, maneuver around. Although he was very agile and he maneuvered around. But I mean is that in a defensive motion. He didn't, kind of like maneuver around defensively. He maneuvered offensively and he attacked. He didn't really fight with any spiritual bonds, or he didn't have any spiritual bonds really, in contrast to people like Tenzin and Jinora. This eventually translated to Zaheer in his fight against Tenzin, showing that caution will always win, and defense in Zaheer, in Tenzin's case, will always win a battle over Blitz, which was Zaheer's case. Zaheer also got a lot of his philosophy and his influence from the one, the only Guru Lahima of the Northern Air Tribe or whatever. Lahima has said things like, "New growth cannot exist without first destruction of the old," which is virtually identical to Zaheer's ideology. Lahima also had another quote that Zaheer was deeply obsessed with once he got airbending, and that was, "Let go your earthly tether, enter the void, empty and become wind," which is what happened to Zaheer once, Pali died. This actually shows an aspect to Zaheer's philosophy, as he thought freedom was the most essential, natural order was disorder, and that your earthly tether isn't needed. Another quote that really shows Zaheer's, thought process really and wisdom is, "Neither of us are the same as before. I learned to fly, but now I'm bound in chains. You have all the power in the world and the freedom to use it, but you choose to hold yourself down." This is what he says to Korra, of course, when, she's kind of traumatized by the poison in her body from Zaheer. And he also mentioned things like, "You're blaming me for this, but, that's not going to help you at the end result." And pay attention to the words he used in that quote. you choose to hold yourself down. In other words, you can do anything. You have no bounds. Um, you choose to hold yourself down is basically the same thing that allowed Zaheer to fly, to let go of his earthly tether. He's showing that one person can have so much power, which is why he thinks that all form of government has to go for true freedom. Which kind of goes with, the whole premise of, Murphy's Law, which is, what can go wrong will, basically. Um, it really portrays Zaheer as an unusual figure, as he spends his time putting humanity into chaos, letting everything go in disarray, then leaving everything virtually with no power structures, no government, and in his words, true freedom for the people. You know, he felt like people had really like a way of making their own path and knowing what's good for them rather than having a government dictate everything for them, if that makes sense. He wasn't afraid of forming a group to chase those goals either, as long as they would not take advantage, if they took down all governments. So, um, Pali, Gazan, Minghua were all in his group because they believe in the same cause, which was, destroying all governments. And as long as they wouldn't, take advantage of that power, they could stay in the group and fight for the same cause, while someone like Unalak, who was previously in the Red Lotus, tried to take advantage of the power, which, ultimately meant that he wasn't in that group. Um, he believed in losing all earthly tethers, so he is unbound from Earth, and that he has no earthly attachment since he lost his love. He lost Pali, and it also means that Zaheer is different from every other Airbender in history, except Lahima in this. Zaheer had no regard for the way he fought either. Differentiating from other Airbenders, he attacked and fought with no hesitation to stop conflict. As other airbenders retreat and look for the right time to attack or de-escalate a situation. He has virtually no spiritual connections, but sees Guru Lahima as the guy he generally, you know, like he sees him as the guy as kind of taking all of his advice and philosophy from. Kind of looks like he's worshiping him in a way, and that he was emulating him. Um, in the real world, Tolstoy, um, you know, he's a pretty decent example of one who kind of resembles Lahima's ideology in the real world. Zaheer, though, he differentiated from Tolstoy and Lahima, um, where um, he actually kind of took a more forceful approach to achieve his ultimate goal of, true freedom for all. That's what he really wanted, and he was willing to do it with force rather than, Tolstoy and Lahima, generally from knowledge, being pacifists. In conclusion, I wouldn't say, in, I wouldn't say Zaheer is inherently a bad person, um, as the cause of him, like as the cause he was fighting for was true freedom in his eyes. He would do actions instantly without thinking of the consequences, which inadvertently created a power vacuum for Kavira. He was willing to go through everyone and everybody to achieve his true goals. He flew because he wanted to destroy Korra. He adopted Lahima's ideology so he can enter the void and create natural order himself if he had to. He vanquished the Earth Queen to get rid of her tyranny and her freedom restrictions. Even though he hated Korra for her existing, basically, as she was the avatar and the uh, most powerful human, I'd say, in that. Most powerful bender, she had all four elements. He helped Korra out, the most powerful, to destroy Kuvira because she was the bigger enemy in that situation. All of the fiber in Zaheer's being was targeted to giving freedom and to create natural order. If you guys enjoyed the video, I'd love if you guys like, subscribed, and commented to share your thoughts down below. Until next time, it's me, the Avatar Fanatic out.